Welcome, everybody. Hello, my name is Wendy Peart, and I welcome you to this screening and celebration of the Logan MacDonald project with the Winston Knoll Deaf and Hard of Hearing student. I'm really happy to be here today to be able to share with you the great experiences and the successes that this group had over the course of a couple of years, actually, as it's spanned its time. I want everyone to know that even though this event is being streamed, you can always add comments or questions into the chat field if you're tuning in from YouTube or Facebook. Okay, so as I just said, I didn't say yet, but my name is Wendy Peart, and I am the Curator of Education and Community Outreach at Dunlop Art Gallery. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge that Dunlop Art Gallery and the lands on which I reside is on Treaty 4 territory, the original lands of the Cree, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. Through this land acknowledgement, I extend my intentions and efforts to continually support Indigenous communities, to learn from them, such as land-based respect, knowledge, and honor systems. Through my work, I hope to bring communities together through learning and education opportunities, such as this, so that we can grow deeper relationships with respect for one another and to learn and grow together. The work that we do at Dunlop Art Gallery and Regina Public Library is tied to strategic goals, such as that customers will have access to Indigenous programming tied to reconciliation, that we provide opportunities such as the RPL's Indigenous Voices reading list, the RPL's reconciliation page on our website, which is actually, because of being the month of June, it's even more extensive and more rich. So I really invite you all to visit that website for additional learning resources and opportunities. So let's get started. I want to just say about the project that Logan MacDonald worked with the Winston Knoll group is supported by Sask Arts, the Artists in Communities grant. So thank you so much for that. I am just going to introduce the teacher, Michelle Grodecki from Winston Knoll's Deaf of Hard of Hearing program. She is an incredible force. Such an intelligent, creative, wonderful, warm person, and I think that the students are really lucky to have her as well as her co-teachers. So she's just going to speak briefly for a few moments.
I have to also thank our co-teachers, Kaylee Manisterski and Willow Belial, who are a part of our program. So we were really fortunate to be a part of the Dunlop Art Gallery in partnership with Logan MacDonald, and we just are so thankful for the opportunity.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, I wanted to recognize that, yes, Michelle and her students are in a school. So yes, they have other sounds coming in. So now next we're going to have one of the students speak, whose name is Kainat, and she is going to share with us some of the highlights of her experience, just briefly for us as we get going.
Hi, my name's Kainat Washid, and I go by this name sign. I have always been deaf. I have some ability to speak. And my experience, I'm here at Winston Knoll School, Winston Knoll Collegiate, and that's where my experience comes from. I am the only one deaf person in my family. Or sorry, I'm born to a hearing family, and there's 2 deaf sisters, but I don't understand a lot of what they were saying, and when they're speaking, there's a lot of information that I miss within my family. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, I just have to accept that's the way it is. You know, when we're done a meal, I go and I do my dishes, and I kind of have a lot of time to myself. And that's been my own personal experience.
Thank you, Kainat. That was wonderful. One thing I just realized I forgot to just give a brief summary of the Logan MacDonald project. Logan MacDonald came to Regina in 2019 and worked with the students for about 3 or 4 days and did a number of open-ended activity sessions, discussions, and groups. And then because of COVID, things slowed down. We had to postpone some of the events. He returned virtually to the classroom in March of 2021 and did virtual projects with the students, which led him to create his current exhibition at Dunlop Art Gallery, which features very beautifully some drawings that are on the wall in the form of murals that he created in response to the work he did with the students. So that's a brief summary of what the project was about. During one of the sessions in March, we had the luxury of having Courage join Logan for one of the sessions. So we've asked Courage, who's here with us today, to speak a little bit about her experience as in her world with arts and advocacy. And I'm just going to read a short bio for Courage first before we hand it over to Courage to speak. Natasha Courage Bacchus is an athlete and performing artist who is passionate about deaf advocacy, fitness, and physical expression. Throughout her life, she has nurtured her passion for fitness, competing as a professional athlete and securing medal positions in the Deaf Olympics, Pan Am Olympics, and many other competitive sporting events. As an actress, she has participated in numerous theater and film productions and has a strong desire to continue to grow and develop as a performing artist, expanding representation to include differently abled persons and empowering Black deaf women in Canada to shine on and off the stage. So welcome, Courage. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to ask that you speak to us a little bit about your experience with arts and advocacy. That will lead us into the final presentation, which will be the video created by the students and the teachers to explore more about their experiences. Take it away.
Thank you, Wendy. And thank you, Kainat, just for that raw expression of what your experience has been. So before I talk about what Wendy was saying, I just want to say to Kainat, you're not the only one. I know the barriers that you face growing up in a hearing family and at the dinner table and the lack of communication there. I definitely can relate to that. And I think it's important that there's a support system there in your classroom, that you aren't alone. And what a wonderful experience that you have, that support of your wonderful teachers and other students, so you don't have to feel alone. And it's really important that your tribe, that you remember you're part of a tribe. So thanks for listening to that. Now back to Wendy's comments. Wow. My journey as identifying as a Black deaf woman has not been an easy one. It's been full of struggles and barriers. I mean, as a little girl, I recall having a lot of stories I wanted to tell people, but I didn't have the chance to. So I substituted that with running. And as an athlete, I feel that running has saved my life. It has alleviated that anger and the stress from growing up in a very oppressive group of hearing people where all those barriers existed. I felt trapped, but when I ran, it gave me the energy. When I got the medals, it was very empowering. Traveling to other countries, it just taught me to have an open mind and to understand how society affects other people. And I believe that I'm a change maker and I want to improve the world to better it. And as an athlete in 2019, I had a contract with a theater, and the deaf organization was contacting different artists, and they asked if I had any experience in acting. And I said, well, I did have some involvement, but more of a hobby. And then I was part of the Black Drum. And the writer of the script is actually from Saskatchewan as well. And his name was Adam Pottle, if I remember correctly. Yes. And he had become deaf, and he wrote the story that I was a part of. And just looking at the stage and the lighting and just being totally involved, and most of us were there as deaf people. I was the only one that was Black. I was the only one from Canada. And it just led to an interest in theater and that aspect of art. I'm just so interested in all forms of art because it tells a story. It's a way to express yourself. So whether it's poetry or dance or advocating for arts and accessibility and looking at Indigenous, Black, and people of color, because the people of Indigenous or Black people of color, they are very marginalized and in such a minority. And I want to inspire those marginalized groups, as well as the LGBTQ2 population. I really do want to motivate different communities, and sports and performing in arts is my life. It allows me a way of expressing who I am. Sports allows me to alleviate the stresses that I feel in my life, and it becomes integrated, and my mind and my body really connect through these different avenues.
Thank you so much, Courage, for sharing with us your experience and your growth. Actually, it's very good to hear about that, and I'm really glad that you had the opportunity to work with the students for a period of time. Now is our opportunity to share with you all the wonderful video that was created by the deaf and hard of hearing students. I really want to thank them for being so thoughtful, reflective, and inspirational, what they had to share with us. And I also want a big shout out to teacher Michelle Gardecki on the work she did on creating how editing and bringing the video together for us. So thank you. So right now we're going to add that video. I hope you all enjoy, and we'll come back at the end to follow up.
Last year, when Logan showed up, we worked in groups. We discussed our deaf experiences. We painted and drew to show our experiences. I enjoyed our time with Logan because he's fun. And he taught us our art and listened to our experiences. My favorite subject is art. When I met Logan, I felt excited because he's a professional artist, which means maybe I can be one in the future. I like art because I can connect with my emotions. Last year, I felt very negative because I couldn't express my emotions. Since I've learned art, I've started to express my emotions. Things have improved, and now I feel quite positive.
So first when I met Logan, he was hard of, and I saw he was hard of hearing. And I felt happy because he teaches me how to do all different things in art. And textures and everything. The favorite part was that I like to make clay and make different designs. Yeah, so we made like we have to like put it in order and we have to like make a story of it. So, yeah, and I like it. Well, it helps you to know what in the first story, middle, and end. And it makes like a whole story. So you can learn from how much stuff there is. Yeah, in 2017, I went to the Deaf Forest and they have all the beautiful art and that on the wall and the deaf tree and the crow. So yeah. Well, I like to be involved with the deaf community because I like to talk to people, sign, and I sometimes talk to the people that don't sign, so I do both.
My favorite thing with Logan, it was awesome. We had small artifacts. They were inside a bag. We couldn't see them. We put our hand inside and we felt around until we felt that we were ready. I pulled out my item and it was a mirror. Really, it was a metaphor for my life. My past stories, my memories, they were real. It was really cool. They aren't funny stories, actually quite serious. There are deaf and hard of hearing students in the program. We were split off into groups of 2 or 3 to paint. We used a variety of colors to express ourselves. I loved painting. When we finished, we discussed what the things looked like. Looking around, I noticed all of our paintings went together. We laid them out and it looked like a grid. It was really cool. Looking at them all lying there, we all got the perspective of being a collective group. Looking at that was really cool. I never feel negative. I feel very positive. It's nice to have communication and clear understanding. Not having the feeling of closed-mindedness. It's all very open-minded. I can express myself freely. I love that about my community. The Deaf Forest had 3 areas. They posed tough questions. People started understanding what we went through. The 3 areas were the deaf, hard of hearing, and hearing forests. When we made that, we had to think about how could we summarize our experiences. We were often stuck and not able to understand, which is exhausting. But entering the deaf forest was inspiring because we were all equal. For example, if you spoke Arabic and she spoke English, you just need to show the equality of the languages. The interaction becomes about teaching each other. This same example could be applied if the language is ASL and spoken language. You can have these interactions and it can be in ASL. That's what I loved about Deaf Forest. It was really touching. I didn't feel any grief. I felt love. I want more of it, but I graduate this year and I have to leave. But I'm not leaving the group. I'll keep going and learning. I'm so happy when I'm here. The program has uplifted me. Now I'll be working, which is not so uplifting, but I'll want to remain uplifted. My wish is to come back and visit.
With art, I got into art when I was younger, because I just always liked art. And so my mom would go to the dollar store and she'd buy me a bunch of stuff, and then she'd put these paper things on the ground to cause I love painting and stuff. So she'd put these papers on the ground because we had a carpet, and then I just do my art there. And then I got into drawing and stuff, but I also like making stuff out of clay because that's fun. I'd never met someone like that before, and it was a new experience. I don't know, because he was paying attention to what I was saying, because usually when I'm telling a story, people just doze off, and I'm like, so yeah, that was nice. We made stuff out of clay, I think, yeah. We also did a visual art thingy where we don't look at the paper, but we look at what we're drawing, and then we try to guess what we're drawing. My art helps me with learning because I don't know, every time I draw or something, it keeps me focused on that. And then I start drawing, and then I get into that, and then I work while I draw. Because that's better in my opinion. It's just, I like art. Yeah, I literally grew up with it, and if I'm not doing art, then I'm probably getting distracted by it. I'd probably make a sculpture of that person because I like making things. For that, I'd probably use not air dry clay, but the clay you put in ovens, so later on I can paint it and stuff. So I could match the skin tone and stuff of that person that I'm giving it to.
Logan himself is a professional artist. Maybe I can be one in the future with his help. The first time I met Logan, he taught me about his experience and life. I felt that I understood the things he brought. I was inspired. I felt connected and I wanted more. I couldn't wait. He taught us about his experience. It was almost the same as ours. When I saw our pictures, I realized the experiences were the same. There was a connection. I needed to express my story. I felt equal, never less than. We supported each other's work. I felt uplifted and proud. So did my classmates. I felt happy seeing Logan again on Zoom. We couldn't meet in person again because of COVID. I would have preferred to meet in person. It's easier to understand. My favorite thing was clay and also drawing. My experience was always staying tight-lipped. I couldn't express anything. And then I met someone who helped me. They taught me art. I felt such a connection to that. I could express my stories. That's what happened. Now, I think first and analyze myself. And then I can express my stories through art. I'm happy to identify as deaf. I accept it. I don't care if I have a hearing problem. We're all equal and supportive of each other. I remember we had to pick things. Each person made a picture on paper, and then they made a story. Another thing we did is we painted on large papers. We showed signing ASL and the dinner table. My favorite part with Logan was when he'd give us paper to draw. We could create and express anything we wanted to. I expressed about life before COVID and when we had to wear masks at school. And then I drew about showing up to school when all of the students had to wear a mask. I had never met a deaf artist before. This was my first time. I wish we could work with Logan and learn more from him. I'm lucky to be here with other deaf students. We support each other, chat, and have fun. I really enjoy it here. Art helps me to understand metaphor because I can see it. I would make a clay I love you hand. I would give it to someone special, Joanne Weber, because she taught me how to mature, to be deaf, and to protect myself. She was supportive. It was my favorite. It's interesting. I was surprised the first time that I met Logan. He was an artist that wanted to learn how to express about the deaf experience. There were many different things we showed him. Communication and socializing. I always tried to draw but didn't know how. I'd try to make things up from looking at art on the computer. I would just copy that art. Christine taught us art and we made boxes, expressing our deaf experiences and how to get out of our bubble. We also drew as a way of expression. Kaylee understood colors for a way of expressing our emotions. Art helped me to express my emotions. Detailed, tough art, like Kaylee did with us. We used our name signs. We added details. I loved that. Zentangles. I saw Deaf Forest. It was stories about the deaf experiences. I really felt inspired when I saw that.
It was so beautiful. It was the first time I experienced something like that. I always thought I was hearing and I didn't understand. I was completely off the mark. It was a mistake because I'm deaf and it inspired me. Yes, I want to see Logan again in the future. Logan, will you come back and see us?
I think Logan did a really good job on the exhibit. And then he took a lot of these things from like us to make this exhibit because we told like these some of these things to him to put like it's obvious his choice to put it in or not, but he chose to put it in because he thinks it's really good, and then we like some of these things we actually like work hard to put it in, and then he saw that has like an opportunity to put it in because if people see these things, they know what we like us or him what us try to explain. Art helped me for my brain power to go up and get my like deep skill of my like brain skills or like your thinking skills to have confidence in your like power or your brain to say out loud or like try to make something out with the artifact you have in that bag. Artifacts, but some arts like help me for my like deep feelings. Like if you know my deepest feelings, I like haven't like pulled it out from like a long time. Like probably like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Have these like really toxic or really bad feelings I like stuck holding up in my body, and then I haven't like let it out yet. So I still have a lot of them inside, but art like some arts like maybe colorful art or some gray with black and white art help me to express myself a lot. I think Logan did a really good job on the exhibit. And then he took a lot of these things from like us to make this exhibit because we told like some of these things to him to put like it's obvious his choice to put it in or not, but he chose to put it in because he thinks it's really good, and then we like some of these things we actually like work hard to put it in, and then he saw that has like an opportunity to put it in because if people see these things, they know what we like us or him what us try to explain. Art helped me for my brain power to go up and get my like deep skill of my like brain skills or like your thinking skills to have confidence in your like power or your brain to say out loud or like try to make something out with the artifact you have in that bag. Artifacts, but some arts like help me for my like deep feelings. Like if you know my deepest feelings, I like haven't like pulled it out from like a long time, like probably like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Have these like really, toxic or really bad feelings I have. I like stuck holding up in my body, and then I haven't like let it out yet. So I still have a lot of them inside, but art, like some arts, like maybe colorful art or some gray with black and white art, help me to express myself a lot.
Awesome. That's
And then I saw Logan, like how my darkness, like about my healing stuff, just went out, and then this all of them is good now because I like playing my teammates. Now and then when I met Logan, I saw this feeling I can like maybe become him or something to see this. He looked like he had a lot of happiness wearing these healing needs. And then he like art. That's also my second thing to do. Always like, if I don't have my technology, I usually do art. And then I can like have feeling in his like arts and stuff. So I saw his art, and then he bring this artifacts of these bags. So it also made me think about a lot of things about my past life, that's one that's really hard because I don't really have that much wood on. I just taking the wood out the art and then explain it. I usually just leave it for my heart to explain it. For my brain, I don't really like remember all I say because it's all about my heart and stuff, and your body and your darkest feelings and stuff. And yeah, I usually like explain it and I forget because some of them are like really bad feelings and some of them are really good feelings.
My favorite part about the program working with Logan was how he was able to engage and work with the students. It was really nice to see them, so we set up dual monitors so that they could come up and show him the work, and then also he was projected on a big screen, so then they were able to converse with him that way, and we had teachers interpreting for the kids so that he could understand and they could understand him. It was just a really nice experience altogether. Oh, for sure, Logan being a deaf artist, it gives the kids a role model to look at. Also him being Canadian and also First Nations, it gave a different perspective for them, and they could relate to him a little bit more easily through the process of making art with him, which was really nice.
okay.
Logan's interactions with the kids was something to really be admired. He would get the kids working on a project, and then we would set an amount of time for them to work on it, and then they would come up to the little laptop that we had set up so that he could see what they were working on, and he would ask them questions. He would really get them thinking more deeply about what they created and pulling those stories out in a way that a lot of people don't take the time to do with our students. So it was, and you could tell that he was genuinely listening to them and could really feel their stories. He had some emotional responses to things, and the kids did too, and they were telling him things that maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable with telling other people, and that was through the power of art, which is incredible. Looking at Logan's exhibit, it's really evident that our students' voices are, he really captured the students' voices, and he incorporated a lot of their artwork, different meaning, and just that community aspect that's really important to the deaf and hard of hearing community. It's really beautiful that he kind of pulled everything in. Everybody's voices are in there. You can even see students' artwork displayed on the walls. Unfortunately, I didn't get to work with Logan in person last year, but working with him online this year through the pandemic, he did an absolutely phenomenal job of really connecting with the kids and making them feel like what they were doing was important, and it's very evident and beautiful to see what he created in the gallery. Art is huge! It's so important to our kids. ASL is a very visual language, and for a lot of our students, like English is not their first language, ASL isn't even their first language. We have multiple languages going on in the classroom at one time, and just like working through art and like making meaning through visual, like pictures and drawing, painting, sculpture, all that kind of stuff, moving your body, it makes everything more accessible to our students. They're able to convey those messages, to really express like what's on the inside and bring that out and show it. It's a really beautiful thing. And we utilize the art a lot in our program here at Winston Knoll, especially in our like English and literacy program. We have like an arts and literacy program, so we mix art and English together so that the students are able to learn those English skills and improve those skills through art making. So they will create something in like with art, and then with the help of like our team, like we're able to take what they make and then change that into different stories, into like written language, into spoken language, all kinds of different things.
I think the favorite part of the whole program with Logan is just Logan's charisma, his ability to come into our classroom and treat our kids exactly like they were his equals. I've experienced a lot of artists in our classroom because at Winston Knoll we do have the arts and literacy program, and it takes a really special person to come in and just get it right off the hop, and Logan was really good at that. I liked Logan's respect for our deaf elder within our classroom. Logan himself being Indigenous and going through Indigenous communities to learn the culture, he really had that innate understanding of the respect that we show our elder, and he really utilized our elder, Ellard, when he had come into the program. Logan being a part of the deaf and hard of hearing community, I think was really really motivational for the students, very inspiring. They were able to see that here was this professional artist who had hearing loss that they were able to relate to as well, and he related to their stories. So they were able to see that their stories mattered. And I think, again, Logan really helped us to do something that we, I think, pride ourselves on in our program, is that we really try to establish community within our classroom and try to make sure that the students, regardless of how they identify, whether that be hearing, hard of hearing, deaf, world deaf, whatever they choose to identify as, we try to establish a community where students see that they have common experiences. And Logan did a really good job of establishing that with them too, connecting their experiences with his experiences and allowing them to see that their experiences they have are felt across the board. When I saw Logan's exhibit, it was so apparent that our kids' voices were heard and were a part of that exhibition. The big eyes and the hands and the mouths on the wall, that was something that was created within this classroom. And I remember that project when Logan had come in and each group of students was given this huge like 10 by 10 chunk of paper that they had to create something with. And just the conversations that were taking place within that, where the kids were choosing a shared experience. And because I think the question Logan had posed to the students was like, what do you want the public to know about hearing loss? It was very clear to me that Logan took the experiences and the things that the students said were really important for the public to know and worked them into his exhibit. So he was showing that commonality of their experiences and the commonality of the struggles that deaf and hard of hearing individuals face in this very hearing world. So they're really proud of having that experience, and it sets them above. It gives them that extra set of confidence that they're not always given the opportunity to have. So arts really allowed me to see the power of language without words. I think in our society we are so focused on English and so focused on the ability to speak that a lot of messages get lost, because if a person can't speak perfect English or can't express themselves perfectly in written English, what they have to say isn't important. And art is languageless, right? It's a common language that every person doing art has the ability to share their story in a way that others can come along and interpret it their own way, or take that interpretation and have further discussion. So for me within our classroom, art has opened up students that have been so closed off for so long.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful video to preview. I see that Courage is expressed. Courage, would you like to say things about the video? Oh. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the video, it just teared me up. I mean, just so heartfelt. I mean, it's a true fact. Art helps people with hearing loss. It is valid that they have an opportunity to express themselves. It's just so beneficial. It was beautiful. Thank you for the work that you shared. And, when you talk about, English and the language, but with people coming in from other countries, I mean, they have a valued language as well. If they learn ASL as a second language and written English as a third, but that expression of art helps them. So whatever language that they use, the art is fine. It's really crucial to have that expression.
Thank you. I would just say the same thing. But it's really great to have your perspective. I also want to acknowledge, and I should have done this earlier, but I also want to acknowledge that Sue, our interpreter, thank you, Sue, for doing your work today. Very important for you to be here with us. I also want to thank the other teachers. I don't want to say other, but the teachers, Willow Belial and Kaylee Manastrisky. I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly, but I really want to thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much for your help. I also want to note that we did have some great comments here. Ashley Martin has just commented on the Deaf Force show. Courage, you're probably not as aware about this. The DHH students from, I want to say about 5 years ago, created a beautiful art installation that we presented in our main gallery at Central Library. It was fantastic. And I think it's probably the most enjoyed and popular community art exhibit we've ever had. Still to this day, we get people saying it's their favorite. Like, you guys, and with teacher Joanne Weber, who worked with Michelle and Willow for so many years, and with Christine Els and Bernie High as artists, they just manifest this wonderful exhibition. So thanks, Ashley, for that comment. We've just also got Margaret with her kudos. She just says she loves it. So thank you, Margaret, for that. Now it's an opportunity for anybody else from our group if they want to say a few last words about this. If there's any, I'm just offering the opportunity. Michelle?
I'll just say for any teachers watching or anybody in the arts community, I think it's really important just to point out that art really is life-changing for a lot of students. And these opportunities are often few and far between. And I think if we look at arts funding within our communities and within our schools, we would see some great outcomes within our students. So thank you so much for the opportunity. We really loved being a part of it and hope to get to work with you guys again.
Oh, for sure. That's a definite. So I just want to let people know we have plenty of events, artist talks, workshops, more celebrations and screenings coming up in the next few weeks. I would just invite all of you to look at the Dunlop Art Gallery, either the webpage or the Facebook for the next things that are coming up. There's so much to learn from and participate in. I just want to mention that. As well, I've added a little survey link into the chat field. If any of you, please take a moment to fill out this form. It's done in like under 30 seconds. It allows us an opportunity to provide more programming such as this, such as Logan MacDonald's project. So please do take a moment to fill that out at the end. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Michelle and Willow, and Kaylee and Courage, and all of the students. Maybe we can just say goodbye through a nice wave, and I hope to see you all in person very soon.